Hey YouTube, it's question time with Duelist Academy, aka Dav, here with my new segment. This is going to be called question time obviously, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take either cards you want me to explain or cards that have come up at locals that need explaining, just basically to give people an understanding of how certain cards work. Now, I'm going to avoid words like trigger effect and priority unless I have to. I'm going to try and make this as basic as possible to explain. And the first thing I'm going to do is one of my favourites, and that's Light and Darkness Dragon. Light and Darkness Dragon is a card I love to use using dragons, using in fish, using in monarchs, using in Froggark. I use it in Light Swans occasionally, Dark Squire, I just do, I like the card. Right, this card's first scene was of course the Perfect Cycle Monarch, and its recent scene is of course the Fish deck, Sea King. Light is very complicated. It has multiple effects and multiple rulings, which you really have to either know how to read a Yu-Gi-Oh card very well, or you have to be willing to look it up. He's available in multiple packs, including the Manga promo, a Light and Darkness Dragon Power Pack, Retro Pack 2, and soon to be the Storm of Ragnarok promo super rare. So, without further ado, we'll start off with Lad's summoning conditions. Lad cannot be special summon. He can only be normal summoned by tributing 2 monsters, and that's it. There's no ways around that. Just tribute 2 monsters to get on the field, or tribute 1 Totem Dragon, or a double tribute for a light monster, just like Kaiser Seahorse. Next up is Lad's first effect, basically, is he is both light and dark when he's on the field. This can be used, for example, if you have a Crush Card Virus, when Lad's below 1000, or if you have a Declaration Virus when he's above 2000, you can use either of the cards on him and tribute him off and get their effects, because on the field he's a dark type. In the grave in your hand he's not, but on the field he is. Right, now moving on to the more fun part of his effect, his negation powers, we'll call them. Start with, Lad is a quick effect, and he is a trigger effect. The way this works is basically, either your opponent plays a card, that question here, for example, and then Lad mandatory trigger effect activates and you get the card. Regardless if it's you or your opponent playing the first card in the chain, Lad is always chain linked to that card. As Lad, it has a mandatory trigger effect, unless they've got their own Lad will auto negate that first card. And when Lad negates a card, the card is negated, and then Lad's attack points after resolutions drop by 500 points. So, Lad has 2800 attack points, 2400 defense points, and it can't go lower than its attack and defense points in Yu-Gi-Oh! So it stops after it has 4 negations. So fairly simple, you would think, but then there's a lot of other rulings. Because Lad is a mandatory trigger effect, he cannot chain twice in the same chain. So, for example, if the question's played, Lad will automatically try to negate the question, and then you could play a card such as Mystical Space Typhoon and hit their back card. So you've got around the Light and Darkness Dragon play, and you managed to destroy a back card with this. Next up is Lad's attack points don't drop until resolution, and if Lad has no attack points to drop, it can't negate something. So, for example, if you played the question card, and then Lad tries to negate and your opponent dropped down the Book of Moon, Lad would go face down, and when Lad's face down, he has no attack points and defense points, so the first card resolves as if it hadn't been negated, because it hasn't been negated. Moving on is cards such as Honest, Treeborn Frog, Light Swans, Vayu does this, and a few others do this as well, where, for example, Alila in the end phase has to try and milk as a Light Swan, and Lad tries to negate, continuing the end phase. Lila will try and mill again, and then Lad will negate again, then Lila will try and mill again. So Lad will drop down his attack points, and then you will mill, as Lad does not destroy the card. Also, an interesting thing with Lila is that because she's not once per turn, you can go activate effect, Lad negates, stays in attack mode. Lad's effect, Lad negates, stays in attack mode, and so on. So Lad can get around it. Treeborn Frog, you can just keep coming back and you stand by phase and negates each time. Honestly, you can try and return it and return it and return it. Drop its attack points. Value, because it's not a cost, you can keep removing it. So there are ways to beat down the Lightning Dynast Dragon, basically. Another one that comes up a lot is the cards that say either once per turn or once in the duel. And the two examples I've got here are Chaos Sorcerer and Spore. Now, what's up with Chaos Sorcerer? You summon Chaos Sorcerer, they have a Lightning Dynast Dragon in the field, and you use Chaos Sorcerer's effect to try and remove the Lightning Dynast Dragon from the game. What happens here is Lad negates it. As soon as there's no other cards in the chain, it drops 2300 and its effect hasn't worked. Right. You still can't try to attack with Lad because you've tried to use its effect and Chaos Sorcerer's condition says it can't attack until it uses its effect. So because you've used its effect, even though it's being negated, Chaos Sorcerer still can't attack the Lightning Dynast Dragon. As for Spore, if you attempt to activate Spore, you remove a plant for the cost. Lad will then negate the Spore. You can't then reuse the Spore again, as Spore can be used once per duel. Now an interesting one are these two. Gauze, Battle Fader and Dragody, for example. What happens with these guys is that, for example with Battle Fader, Lad attacks, you reveal the Battle Fader as the declaration to attack. Then Lad will negate the Battle Fader, and Battle Fader will return to your hand, will stay in your hand, negated, so Lad's attack will go through. Then I believe you can drop the Battle Fader again on the next attack. Similarly, Gauze. Lad will try to attack, and part of Gauze's effect is actually to reveal him in your hand when you take damage, and then drop him. Lad will negate the Gauze, and the Gauze will stay in your hand. Now, my favourite and hardest one to explain are summonings that are effects and summonings that are conditions. For the example I'm going to use here is Cyber Dragon. Cyber Dragon doesn't have an effect, in my opinion. It's just that's how you can summon him for free, basically. Special summoning like that. That's just a regular special summoning, compared to a card such as Machina Fortress, who actually has an effect that allows you to special summon him. Cyber Dragon's special summon's effect is just an effect that lets you put him on the field. Machina Fortress's effect, the effect allows you to bring him out, basically. Lad cannot negate a Cyber Dragon special summon, he just hits the field, basically. Lad will negate the Machina Fortress in the graveyard when it tries to activate, and it'll stay in the graveyard. So it's very simple when you get the hang of it. So yeah, there's some of the combos and things that Lad works around, and finally is Lad's final effect, his destruction effect and revival effect. Basically, when Lad is destroyed, he goes to the graveyard. You target one monster card in your graveyard. You then destroy your whole field in a resolution and special summon that one monster back from the graveyard. Fairly straightforward, I know, but basically, you start with he has to target monster first, then destroy the field. So for example, if you had this in the field and a Cyber Dragon, you couldn't revive the Cyber Dragon because the Lad would destroy the Cyber Dragon. But for example, if you target a monster and then they all go to the graveyard, you remove out the monster, that's fine. If there's no targets in the graveyard, Lad's effect basically won't do anything. Also, if the Necro Valley's out and Lad cannot target in the graveyard, his effect won't resolve, so that's good to know. Also, if he's removed from play, it won't resolve either. As a final thing to note is that Lightning Dynast Dragon doesn't specify where it has to be destroyed from. So, for example, if Lightning Dynast was in your hand and your opponent had at the time used Crush Card and Lad had been destroyed by Crush Card's effect, Lad's effect would then hit the graveyard and activate. This can be similarly displayed with it's on the field and use all its negations and someone plays Dick Devastation Virus and kills your weakened Lad, its effect will activate again. And the last bit to note is if Lightning Dynast Dragon is equipped to a card like Cyber Dark Dragon or Dragoonity Leviathan when we get it, I think that's its name, as a spell trap card, if it is destroyed by MST, its effect will also activate then, and that will create interesting plays with the card because you can make a loop with Lad. So yeah, there's some basic combos and whatnot with Lad. Best way to get around Lad is an infinite loop, which is Treeborn Frog. If you don't have that, an ideal way to get around Lad is a Book of Moon and something bigger than 2400, or a Monarch and Book of Moon. Basically, if you can put it face down or away from the field, you'll get your effect off, and that can get rid of Lad. Yeah, YouTube, post comments at the bottom and subscribe. If you want to see any card in particular, put a post at the bottom, and if you think this is a bit awkward to explain, let me know and how I can improve the video, because I want to start making more and more segments to my channel, as I think it's a bit dull at the moment. Catch you next time, YouTube.